Greetings interwebs, this is Jacket Key, and welcome back for another edition of Pokémon XG Next Gen. Last time, we got up to the final 5 battles of Mount Battle. And wrong screen. I just want to show off, in between parts, I got everyone's items in new orders, and used up the last of my rare candies. I was tempted to wait until Ellie got leveled up, but at that point, she'd be kinda caught up with the rest of the team anyways. This way I get a little mileage out of it before heading off to the finale, which we'll see if this ends up being the finale, or if I split off the very final battle into its own video. Hey, Jackie K from the future here. I can confirm that the finale will indeed be its own video. Call it foreshadowing, call it spoilers. But as I'm recording this voiceover, I have done over 6 attempts at the final battle of Mount Battle, and have yet to win. Actually, slight exaggeration. I got the Vegas file. I believe that's the software I use for editing. Yep, I have the Vegas file for the final battle of Mount Battle up here, and I have done 6 attempts exactly. And I would have done more, but after the 6th attempt, I was like, screw it. This isn't working, I need a fresh start. So I just accepted my loss, so I got rebooted back to the beginning, taking the opportunity to get some new items from the Battle Point Exchange, reteaching any moves from the move tutors that I thought might be more useful than the TMs I had on hand, and plus it gave me the opportunity to get a little bit more experience so some of my Pokemon would be a bit higher in level when I tried again. Will that be enough to secure a victory? Your guess is as good as mine because I'm still climbing for Mount Battle. In fact, in my reclimb back up to where I left off in the live recording, I'm actually right at level 96. This one that we're doing right here and now, and I was half tempted to take that opportunity to just do live commentary instead of going for the trouble of doing post commentary for all this, but here we are. While there's probably other reasons that aren't coming to mind at the moment, if I did just do live commentary here and now, I would have to explain the difference between the levels I had in the last episode and the levels now, because I did gain a few levels in the process of reclimbing up here to do attempts 6 and beyond of said final battle. I mean, I'm explaining it right here and now, so I guess it wouldn't be that much of a difference, but I guess it'd be more visually clear this way, whatever the opposite of confusing is. There's some slight regret with putting off the commentary until now, pondering if things would have been overall easier if I did live commentary. I'm pretty sure I would have at least had this video edited by now instead of jumping ahead to edit some of the finale video. I guess I'll just call it a finale, because who knows. As of right now, I am definitely not feeling up to doing more of this game in video form after beating Mount Battle, so we'll leave it at that. All that's left to really do in this game is Ouray Coliseum, and I already showed you all why I won't be doing that, at least anytime soon. I've probably mentioned it a few times here and there, but with the way things have been between just summer heat and possibly burnout, I'm just looking forward to being done with recording for a little bit, once we're finally done with Mount Battle here. On a similar tangent, apologies in advance if there hasn't been any gaming chills for a month or so. We're almost at the end of July already and I haven't recorded a gaming chill yet, so I think I'm just not going to. The last thing I need is anything more to distract me away from just focusing on getting this done whenever I do have the motivation to do any sort of commentary whatsoever. Not to mention there wouldn't be any news or updates on the channel to really even give until I finished the work for Mount Battle here. Just the fact I've been so unmotivated to actually finish this game kind of has been putting a damper on the channel as a whole. At least I've been able to keep up with the Sunday shorts and the game development shorts that I've been doing, though I don't know for how long. For now, at the very least, I'm gonna just keep going until I run out of backlog and don't feel up to recording more. And then maybe I'll give the channel a proper hiatus. Who knows, I'm kinda playing it by ear. I've said it a million times, but YouTube's not my job, it's a hobby. So if I have things I prefer to spend my free time on, my limited time on this planet, that might be a little too dark, but the point being, I'm only going to be working on videos when I want to work on videos. And for whatever reason, the amount of time I want to work on videos has not been as frequent as it used to be. Which is why I've had some gaps in the weekly uploads to the series, despite being in the middle of it. Now I told myself that I wasn't going to turn this whole video into an update video. Technically I already did that with the purification stuff. But since I probably won't be doing a game chill this month, I'll let this segment of the commentary slide. The question is though, what can I talk about now? Gaming these past months, or at least this past month in particular, has been a little bit iffy to really talk about because my interests and how I've been spending my free time hasn't really lined up with anything really trendy. The Switch 2 is a big thing from the Nintendo end of the spectrum, and I haven't even bothered to pick up a Switch 2 yet. I think I saw something saying that it's been out for a month already. And that's kinda wild. It only feels like it's been out a week ago, if even that. Point being though, I haven't played any of the hit new Nintendo games, and I feel like that's like what you're all interested in at this point. I assume at the very least you're interested in Pokemon because I'm playing a Pokemon game right now. But I haven't even really been keeping up with the main series Pokemon. I completely forgot that there was a Legend ZA trailer coming out, or like a Pokemon Percent, I should say, coming out in like, I already forgot. I think it was 2 days. A lot sooner than I was expecting it to be, despite them announcing it so far in advance. It's like, I just haven't had a reason to care about Legend ZA yet. And I'll admit, I kind of feel left out of the crowd when it comes to socializing, because I just haven't really been playing any quote-unquote real video games. A lot of my free time has been spent working on my own game development adventures. In fact, I've probably been doing more gaming on the treadmill than anything. And this past month or so, I don't know if I would even count that, because somehow I got in my head of my phone can actually keep track of my steps even when holding onto it, and not just when it's in my pocket. So I've actually been experimenting around a bit with trying to play Pokemon Go while on the treadmill. In the past, I never really bothered. I just keep my phone in my pocket so I can get as much steps as possible for the Pokemon Go activities, but somewhere down the line in the past month or so, I've realized that occasionally, not all the time, but sometimes, if I run Google Fit or whatever, run a treadmill session, sometimes that'll be enough for Pokemon Go to realize that I'm walking despite being in one place while I have the game open. And that alone is a huge game changer, because that means I can hypothetically run an incense and actually get Pokemon encounters from it. And considering that usually I can only get out to play during the weekends, that opens up the possibility of using my daily incense during the week, on work weekdays. Between that and fricking up my Pokemon Omega Ruby save file, so I can no longer play that game and do shiny hunts on it, and I haven't even told anyone about, maybe outside of a few miscellaneous Blue Sky posts. Haven't really told anyone about that incident, have I? I don't even know what to say about it. One day, when I learned that you could like go under the bridge to get 100% feedback encounters in Omega Ruby, I was going to go implement that, put into practice with some chain fishing. I thought that would be a fun way to get a shiny Pokemon. So I surfed under the bridge, I hit the save button, and I guess because my 3DS is a bit old and flaky, sometimes the game card just pops out on its own, and guess when the game decided to pop out of the game console? Right in the middle of the infamous Saving, do not turn the power off. So that happened, and I booted it up, hoping that, like, it may not have saved, but maybe it would go to a backup save or something, but apparently that's the thing that doesn't exist for Omega Ruby, because I pulled it up, and I just agree with this white screen saying that my save file is corrupted. Which sucks so much, I get riled up just thinking about it. The worst part is that I don't know what's still on there, what's not, because like I have transferred some things to home, some things over to Pokemon X and Y, like there's the muck that I use for sticky hold and chain fishing, and I don't remember the last game that was in, if it was in Omega Ruby or if it was in Pokemon Y. You'd think that it'd be the prior because I was just getting ready to chain fish, but I don't actually remember what my party was at the time. I don't even remember if I just like forgot that it was in Y and just caught a new sticky holder. I'm hoping that's the case. But that's the thing, like, I don't know how many Pokemon I've lost. A lot of the old sentimental Pokemon are probably fine, because I've had this game for so long. Pokemon Homes, or Pokemon Bank has been the same for forever, so like, the immediate things that you would think from a save file that you would want to transfer over, like the Pokemon that you went through the team with, and any rare or legendary Pokemon or event Pokemon, those probably all got transferred all the way to Pokemon Home at this point. But the more recent stuff that I've done on it, when I say recent, I probably mean within like the past couple years, which is still a long period of time. If any of those haven't been like passed around between different old games or sitting in Pokemon Bank getting ready to go to home, those are just gone to the ether, because I've done Googling, I've looked up everything I could online, I could not find a way to pull up a backup save. Outside of possibly hacking, but I'm not even sure if that would be the case. I've heard the infamous meme of just like, hacking your 3DS is easy, just blah 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 blah, but even that, ironically, despite the history I've had, I've still been too intimidated to try to mod an entire console. I don't think I've even attempted to do that since my college days, and that was mostly just because I had a friend that was really good with that sort of stuff. So I don't even know if I ever actually attempted to do that sort of thing myself. After all, the footage you're seeing right now was purely done with magic on the magical Gamecube. Yeah, I just realized where I wrote myself into by saying that previous statement out loud. So we're just moving on from that. If anyone asks, this is a magic Gamecube, specifically marine biology themed. Point being, that save file is fricked. So tempted to change one single letter in there, but I will show some restraint. And whether it be Pokemon that I've had with me since the beginning of that save, way back when the game first came out, because the generation of X and Y was when I actually bothered with multiplayer Pokemon. So I had some help making the Pokemon to use for those battles, so inevitably some of them were unable to get past the Pokemon Home sensors and make their way towards the more permanent home, or some shiny Pokemon that I've gotten throughout the chain fishing that I've done that I have yet to actually transfer to Pokemon Home. There's inevitably going to be something on there that's just lost in ethos. And man, I'm getting myself riled up just thinking about it all over again. This was all a tangent just to say that I've been doing Pokemon Go Battle League on the treadmill. Which is wild because that's usually an aspect of Pokemon Go that I don't really bother with. But I don't know. It seems like you could just put the word Hisui on just about anything, and that'll be enough to get me hooked onto it all over again. Hisui themed Pokemon cards? Spent 2 years collecting Pokemon cards all over again, something I haven't done since childhood. Only to inevitably stop once the shortages got so bad that I could joke about them no longer even existing in a physical form, and really losing interest in collecting them since then. Looking at my closet right now, I can see like 4 binders almost all the way up to the ceiling that I'm pretty sure contain Pokemon cards. Like, If I get back into collecting again, even if they do become plentiful, where are those cards gonna go? I've still been trying to figure out what the heck to do with all the duplicates of more common stuff that people aren't gonna buy. I don't feel like throwing them out, that feels like a waste. And no one's gonna buy the common stuff from you because, well, you can get them from practically anywhere. Even if there was rare cards that I wanted to get rid of or was willing to part with, I wouldn't even know where to start because I have no luck. I am not good with being a capitalist whatsoever. Online selling ventures, store avenues, not good with any of that crud. Never have been, never will be. Okay, it's all well and good. Them finding tangents. We are so back, people. I thought I lost the commentary stride, but clearly I'm finding stories to tell. That being said though, you probably want me to talk a little bit more about what we started this whole conversation on in the first place. The point being, you apparently can put the word Hisui on just about anything, and that'll spark my interest in it all over again. So guess what happened when Pokemon Go was doing a Hisui Cup in Go Battle League? I made a Pokemon Go battle team for the Hisui Cup and played it, and I kept playing it. Despite the fact I couldn't really make any actual Hisui Pokemon work on my team, it was still a fun way to kill time on the treadmill, to the point that I was even willing to do it off the treadmill. Though probably the winning streak that I had along the way helped, because one of the big motivators in GBL is the fact that Mindfu is one of the Pokemon you can get as a prize if you win 3 battles of your 5 battle set. The problem is that's all randomized, so and the pool also gets bigger and technically better as you go along, but with Mr. Mind narrowed down and focused solely on Mindfu, trying to get the blue shiny, more Pokemon in the pool just means more saturation, keeping me from getting Mindfu encounters. But that's a whole other story. Treadmill time is normally the time frame that I either do shiny hunting or actually try out games on my Steam Deck or other platform that I wouldn't bother touching otherwise. Unfortunately, this new obsession with doing Pokemon Go Battle League on the treadmill means that the time frame to actually play quote-unquote real video games kinda got thrown out the window. So I spent all my treadmill time doing battles in the Hisui Cup, and something must have clicked there, whether it be actually winning frequently enough to get the Pokemon encounter, or just actually enjoying it. Whatever the case may be though, that trend continued even after Hisui Cup ended, and even now, with the Summer Cup happening, I was able to put a little team together that worked for me, and win some battles with it. Definitely not all the battles. I haven't really compared the team to PV Poke. Pretty much the platform that, pardon my oxymoron here, that you reference as a casual competitive battler. Like if you're struggling in GBL and have so much Stardust to spare that you're willing to try anything, I would recommend pulling up that site and giving it a look. Find whatever meta sounds fun to you, pull up the chart, and see what sort of Pokemon come on top. Like, you don't even have to use like the top 3, like even like the top 10 to top 20 are probably your best bets. It is important to have fun though, so like, a lot of my struggles with team building in Pokemon Go, at least for Pokemon Go Battle League, is finding that balance between using stuff that I like and using stuff that will prevent me from getting completely curve stomped by all the tryhards on there. Like, I'm not aiming to be the best, nowhere close to it actually, but it would be nice to win frequently enough to actually do that Pokemon check, because that Pokemon encounter is the biggest motivator to actually do Pokemon Go Battle League. Even if the only Pokemon I really care about is Mindfu, in hopes that I get a shiny from there, because Lord be tell, I've tried other methods. And it's been a slog. SOS chaining in Ultra Sun and Moon? Guess what? Wild Mindfoo's no jump kick. I forget if it's high jump kick or jump kick, but either way, there's a 90% chance to miss, which means there's a 10% chance... Wait, I said that backwards. You get what I'm getting at though, right? 90% chance to hit, 10% chance to miss. When you're doing like chain Pokemon after Pokemon, though, and going for as long as you do in SOS chaining, it's inevitable that one of them's gonna high jump kick while it's on low HP, miss, hit itself in recoil, and just end your chain right there. And this is not... Because it's Ultra Sun and Moon, I've never actually beaten the game, so I've only had the resources of when I first got there. I do not have like the high strat like Bronzor that can like infinitely trick and block and swap with a Lepa Berry so they never run out of PP or all those high end stuff. I just got my team maybe a False Swiper. No, I don't even have a False Swiper. The Pokemon I use knows Super Fang, which is the same thing, but much less efficient. Point being, like, usually they high jump kick and just destroy the chain before I can even get it high enough to start doing shiny checks in the first place. And then there's Sword and Shield, where all I got is a Methusa method. And hold on a sec, I'm gonna actually pull up what my check is, because I've been tracking that. Because that's been like the primary way I've been shiny hunting for Mindfu, because considering how inefficient and awful SOS training Mindfu in particular is. So give me one sec. Yeah, according to my app, I've done 545 egg hatches, which puts my current odds, considering I managed to get the shiny charm in Pokemon Sword, specifically to make the Dynamax Adventure shinies more frequent. That puts my odds for the Methusa method at over odds, if we want specific numbers, 107%. So that's like 7% above odds, I think is how we do the math. It has been great! The only saving grace is that this is an activity I do exclusively on the treadmill, sometimes while listening to a podcast or video, or having at least something else going in the background, so even by treadmill standards, my time isn't completely wasted. There is something to push out the void of insanity. One of the best, which I mean worst, parts of all this is the fact that there's easier methods, but that requires having the DLC for Scarlet and Violet. Like, if I just bought the DLC for Scarlet and Violet, I could just go to the DLC land, make a sandwich, and probably have this Mindfu before I know it. But I am stubborn and haven't bought the DLC yet, and with us inevitably getting a new Pokemon game this year, I'm trying to stick to my guns and continue to not have the DLC for Scarlet and Violet. Because it would feel pretty petty to buy DLC to an entire game that I had no interest in playing otherwise, just to get one shiny Pokemon. Now, I'm not sure if this is the quote-unquote best or second best, but the worst part about all this is the fact that I really wanted a female shiny Mindfu, because it goes with this weird affiliation I have between Persona Chie and the Mindfu line. And because of that, I've always had a preference towards female Mindfu over male Mindfu. Granted, I am not allowed to complain at this point when I get the shiny, regardless of its gender, but I really want it to be the female from Mindfu, specifically so I can nickname it after Chie. And I know of just how much agony this hunt has been for Mindfu as is throughout various methods in different games, including brute force in a couple of them. I'm gonna get the shiny Mindfu, and it's gonna be male. And that's gonna make me sad. I'll get over it. I'll eventually get over it and be able to appreciate the Mind Food for what it is. But there is gonna be that initial shock, the initial state, or whatever, of disappointment when it's male, and I can only hope that I can just jinx the gender out of existence to have the shiny Pokemon be what I want it to be. This may have sounded like one big tangent, but in reality that's the peak of my GBL treadmill story. I'm out of ways to stretch this conversation out, and I don't know exactly where to go from here. I guess I could talk about things I might have done on the treadmill before getting into GBL. The last thing I really remember though is trying out this other creature collector. I gotta double check the name of it actually. Koromon, I think it's called. I'm not sure if any of you remember that Jackie K tries that I did of that interesting, we'll call it, game that combined roguelike with creature collector. Well, that was actually a spin-off of Koromon. I think. I'm pretty sure they're at least the same developer. So that was what was on my wishlist and eventually ended up in my Steam library for the longest time. I think the ironic part about all this was I wasn't even planning on playing it in this treadmill session. I was going to try out this different game that I found on sale. It's called God, I don't even know how to pronounce. I forgot how to pronounce it. Prodigal. Except there's no T. Prodial. We'll just call it Prodial and move on. All I remember is that I saw a video on it that showed off the game and talked about it, and that seemed really promising. It basically played out a lot like a GBA Zelda, like your Link Awakening or Oracle games. It was a really good sale at the time, so I got it cheap. It was a good recommendation. I go to boot it up, and I'm just greeted with a wall of this giant disclaimer, including things of like, you don't own the rights to this game, and I'm not sure if there was any specific phrasing that turned me off from it, or just the overwhelming wall of text just to play a video game. But either way, that was enough to just make me change my mind. Look for what else I had on the Steam library, because I was already on the treadmill, and I had the Steam Deck up and loaded, and it's like Koromon's there, and it's like, oh yeah, it's Koromon, I've been meaning to try it out. Try out some other Pokemon likes. So I booted up, and I can't really even say too much about it, because despite putting 100 minutes into it, which I guess is, for some reason I thought it was 2 hours, but kind of more like an hour and a half, I don't really feel like I've gotten out of the prologue yet. It feels completely new, there's a lot to get used to, and yet I'm not really at the part of the game that's really exciting. Like, I haven't really fallen in love with any of the creature designs quite yet, but I'm trying to keep my mind open because I know I'm still early on in the game. And right around that time when I'm trying to give Koromon a chance, that was when the whole Pokemon Go Battle League on the treadmill phase kicked in, and I don't know if I'm quite out of it yet. So I haven't really had a chance to go back to Koromon since then. Which again, is probably about a month worth of time. Well, my Steam library that I pulled up to actually reference some of those other games says that I played it within the last 2 weeks, so maybe it hasn't been as long ago as I thought. But I do know there was a couple times I just booted up to try to keep up with the daily bonus pass. Unsuccessfully, mind you, because I've never been able to open up the game more than 2 days in a row. Nothing against the game in that sense, just my style. But I bring it up because it has probably been longer since I seriously sat down or held it up to my hand and walked on the treadmill while playing said game. And yeah, you didn't hear me wrong, it does have something that's kind of borderline Battle Pass, but not really. Like something that like encourages you to boot it up every single day. And I don't know why, but that kind of just rubs me the wrong way. Like, I thought I was just getting into a chill, single-player adventure that kind of gave off some Pokemon vibes. And maybe would recapture some of the lost energy that I've had from some of the older games. but instead I'm kind of greeted by this borderline system that encourages me to do the battles, even though I'm not even far enough in the game to actually have a team proper anytime I boot it up. And as someone not looking into the multiplayer aspect of this game, I guess that kind of rubs me the wrong way how much it's trying to push me into that particular field. So between that and the fact that I have to pretty much relearn the battle mechanics from scratch, it's been, those two things kind of been making it a little hard for me to actually stick with it long enough to give it a fair chance, particularly the latter. I'm trying not to hold that against the game because I would prefer a creature collector kind of do its own thing rather than just copy Pokemon's type chart and stuff like that, just because that would make me more comfortable to get into it. But I would be lying if I didn't say that trying to wrap my head around the new system was something that made it intimidating to actually commit to long enough for me to get familiar with. Even if it feels like it, I'm sure it's not the last time I'll play the game. Surely there'll be a time on the treadmill where I'm itching to actually play a real game and not just do GBL. And surely, with it being one of the more recent things on the Steam library, surely that'll be enough to remind me that it exists and to give it more of a chance. We can help. I haven't really clicked with a lot of the creature collectors on the indie side quite yet, so it would be nice for one of them to hit the spot at the very least. Oh, I almost completely forgot. One of my favorite parts about Coromon so far is my character. Not even the character customization feature, just my character. You see, I got this funny little thing going on where I name my character Jamton because the game starts you out with sunglasses and a set of headphones as some of your customization options, and there's just something suspiciously familiar about the glasses. I know I want to just get done and over with this video, but please, I gotta remember to put up the glasses. It's important that the world sees Jamton, and if you played enough Deltarune, or at least are as brain-rotted into the community as I am, you'll get why I had to go with this character and name him Jamton. It was just too perfect, and it's one of my favorite things about the game so far. Speaking of creature collector indie games, I did play the BC Ball demo a long time ago and remember really enjoying it. I really should just buy it sometime. I'm not sure why I haven't already. Maybe I was waiting for it to go on sale. But no offense to Coromon, but I've had a lot more fun with Beastie Balls than I had with this game, despite probably putting a similar amount of time into both of them. So all this talk reminded me about that, so I really should pay more attention to BC Ball. Maybe pick it up sometime. This also reminds me that, like, when I played the game that I think was a spin-off of Coromon, that was a long time ago. It was still in early access, and I'm sure it's gotten a lot of updates since then. So maybe I should check that out one of these times when I got nothing better to do on the treadmill as well. Or maybe I'll just wait until it's out of early access. Should probably do one of the two. Wow, we're already ready to go back to live commentary? I guess time flies when you're having fun. Took a little bit to get into the groove for this post-commentary, but I'm glad I did. Feels like some of the better post-commentary I've had. Now, back to the live me. It's crazy how much smoother that went. I'm sure the levels helped, but it really felt like my team was at the peak of its performance there. I didn't even get a chance to use Substitute at all. So I got like a 40-minute recording, so I feel confident that we can save this next battle for the finale. Next time on Pokémon XG Next Gen, the final battle of Mount Battle, and probably of the post-game altogether. Until the next time we meet, take care.